they're giving, 'cause I'm working for a living.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 KFGO. Good afternoon. Welcome to The Drive. I'm Dan Michaels. Paulie Lyons at the con. Paul Juergens at the KFGO News Center. KFGO time is 4:10. Thanks so much for joining us. As Huey's talking about there, working for a living. Time to get back to work. The May job rolls added 559,000 jobs to the payroll across the United States. But again, disappointing. By some people. Some people thought that number was going to be bigger than that. What's going on out there with jobs? Well, I tell you what, we turn to the pros when we want to ask questions like that, and that's Express Employment Professionals. Candace Ahmann is Business Development Manager there, and according to her bio, Candace brings passion and love to her role on the management team. As the lead business developer, Candace joined Express over 10 years ago and has become one of the loyal long-term anchor team members at Express Employment Professionals. Would you please welcome back to KFGO, Candace Ahmann. Candace, hi there.
Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for having me today.
It's our pleasure. We learned a lot when we had you on a couple months ago. And so now the country is starting to be opened up again. I see North Dakota has gone under 300 active COVID cases for the first time since a year ago. Things are starting to get better in the United States and way better in our part of the world. And everybody's starting to open up. We're going back to work. More things are opening up next week, in fact. Everybody's looking for employees. Candace, let's start off with a macro view from your point of view. This is truly an employee's market right now, isn't it?
It definitely is. Being in the employment business, we've even seen some changes here in our office. I would say there has been an increase. We're seeing more people applying now. We've had an influx of resumes and applicants coming through. So it seems like it's definitely opening up, and there are some more people that are kind of finally getting back out there and looking to start working.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Candace, from the perspective of employers, when they're coming to you, what they're looking for, I'd imagine some of them are fairly desperate, but what's like the top three things employers are looking for in employees right now?
Just that determination to work. They're looking for people that want to be there at the job. They're looking for people willing to learn. And those are probably the main two, but just, having a good attitude going in too as well. Those three things can really just go a long way for anybody right now that's out on the job market.
So when you say things like that, I guess in my mind, I interpret that. We all interpret things differently, but I interpret that as saying, we're looking for a few good men and women, almost like the Marines there. We're looking for a few good men and women who will join our team, and we'll retrain you. We'll teach you what you need to know. Is that what's going on?
Exactly. It's definitely what's going on. I have a number of companies right now that they've really just opened the gates of what they're looking for. In the past, they might be looking for a very certain set of skills, but now they are really opening it up to, hey, I met this person, they have a great personality, they've done X, Y, Z, but they're really open to learning something new. And I'm just seeing a lot of employers that I work with that are open to that and want to train someone new, as long as they're coming in with that great attitude and that willingness to work. So
somebody comes in to Express Employment Professionals and wants to sit down and talk to you and your team, and they have no idea how to perform the task or the job of X, Y, Z. The message for those people right now is still come in, because it's attitude, it's aptitude over your skill set right now, and then that can be developed. Yes,
it definitely can. And there are certain jobs out there where you're definitely going to need some of those skills initially to start it. I mean, there are some still skilled trades, skilled positions, but if you're looking to get in maybe an office setting now or into a production setting or construction, and you've never done those things before, but you're really willing and you're really interested in trying, this is a great time to just learn a new skill, learn a new trade, because there are companies out there that are willing to train you.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Step off. Try something new. Get out of your comfort zone and get a job that pays more. Speaking of pay, Candace Ahmann's joining us. She is Business Development Manager at Express Employment Professionals. Candace, we've been told that the government's going to quit doing these extra things for unemployment, these things that we're trying to help you get through COVID, and now we're going to try to incentivize you getting out of the house and back into the workforce. one of the ways we're incentivizing or de-incentivizing would be to cut some of those extra employment benefits. Can you give us an update at all on what you know when those, what are the extra unemployment benefits, and are they going away, and when?
Yes. So I know we had talked last time, and Governor Burgum was ending those additional benefits. So that's the state of North Dakota that's deciding to do that. So people can still file unemployment. That's not going away. But the additional benefits that they were getting on top of their regular unemployment benefits will be ending June 19th.
So June 19th, and was that the extra, am I saying it right, at $300 a week? Was that what it was?
Yep, additional $300 on top of what they were getting for unemployment benefits.
And Candace, I've heard different things, and maybe you can clear this up for us. But I've heard things that the I don't know, kind of a crackdown. I mean, you couldn't say no to a job offer. What's your thoughts on things like that? Have you heard that?
Yeah. So North Dakota Job Service had put out a plea to the businesses in the community, and this was coming from other businesses that were kind of pleading to them for quite some time, where they're asking, hey, if someone is lining up an interview or they're accepting a job, if they say they're going to do that, an official offer was made, and they're not committing to those things, they're asking for businesses to report that now.
Okay. So what happens if a business reports that who gets a hold of the person and says, hey, you have to take this job? How does it work? Well,
it's an easy process. You actually can go on to Job Service of North Dakota, and I believe it's highlighted right on the screen there for employers. It's simple to file it. You click that. You put in that information that you know of, the person's contact information that didn't show up for their job day one, and say they didn't have a reason. You can enter that in. Job Service is now taking that information and aligning it with the file of the person that is filing unemployment. The person that's filing unemployment, they do have the opportunity to essentially go back and say, hey, this isn't correct, or so they do have that opportunity to do that. But if that's not happening, eventually, if people are, I guess, unfortunately, there might be a few people out there abusing this system. It's supposed to stop that or halt that.
I got you.
People doing it.
And I don't think anybody would blame anyone, because there's extremes in every situation. There's always someone trying to take advantage of a situation. So I understand why that has to be done. So the $15 an hour thing has really been catching fire nationwide. Not so much in North Dakota. What are your thoughts on the mandatory $15 an hour minimum wage?
To be honest, most of the businesses I work with have increased their wages. Some of them 15%, some of them up to 50%, where most of them, their baseline is at 15 or very close to now. I've just seen that in our city of Fargo, West Fargo-Moorhead area. So a lot of employers, if they're doing it, they're already trying to hit that minimum. I mean, I was a young kid once, too. I would have taken any job at any point that was under 15. Did I deserve 15? Definitely not. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with having a minimum wage of 15. I think there's going to be different cases where, you'll be looking at maybe the service industry or, those first job opportunities for youth. But if you look at our market in general, I am seeing a lot of businesses purposely try to increase their wages already to that 15 mark, and they're really trying to keep up with the market. So
it's basically the private market, the private sector that's kind of doing this, so it probably wouldn't need a mandatory thing on it. And, the thing that's wild, $15 an hour to me sounds high, and I realize that it's not all the money in the world. But, I mean, when I was a kid, I remember painting the pillars in front of my dad's business for $1.50 an hour, and that was minimum wage back in the 70s.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast time actually goes and how these increases happen. And I know my first job was cleaning houses. Well, I got $15 for that house I cleaned. It didn't really matter if it took me 3 hours or more, but that was my first position. So I do think that gave me a baseline of starting to be a good worker or a good employee. So I think businesses are smart. They see what the market is. They know what they need to do to be competitive. And, they're making a lot of these choices on their own. And to mandate something, it to me, I think we got a lot of smart businesses in Fargo already that can make those decisions on their own.
Yeah, I got you. I like it when the private sector does it myself anyway. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is I think one of the best ways to incentivize people to come work for your business is the benefits that you offer. And the number one benefit, of course, Candace, has got to be health insurance. Are there businesses out there that are doing a better job offering health insurance these days?
Benefits, they definitely are there. They're ranked up there high, especially when you're getting a new employee in. That's one of the top things I hear from employees. But there's a lot of other things too, as far as keeping good employees, making sure that you're keeping the right people in your doors as well. And, a lot of those things, compensation, benefits, and the type of work are great, but just respecting your employees. And that's actually one of the number one rated factors on what's keeping people at businesses now.
Well, and I think that tells an employee that you want them to join the family, that you want to be a long-term employee. You don't want some kind of fly-by-night thing. You're not taking employees, and hiring and firing all the time. Isn't that the message?
Yeah, it is. And I'm seeing a lot of changes where businesses are doing a really good job at that. They're making sure they have all the back-of-house stuff taken care of, the benefits, the PTO, the vacation time. I have one business that I'm working with. They make sure they have energy drinks on tap. So there's lots of different options. But when it comes down to it, if you want an employee to stay with you, figure out a way for them to like their coworkers, be engaged with their management and their staff, and show them respect, and maybe find them ways of showing them that they can grow with the company and having those conversations. That's what's going to really keep. I think the big thing is employers need to make sure that they're keeping their employees right now, too, especially when it's such a tough market. Yeah,
amen to that. So, Candace, I lied. One more question to you before you go. When people, we're talking about training for the specific jobs, that they can do training in-house and stuff. But what is the number one thing or the number one and two things right now where you're seeing people switching careers, going back to school, getting retrained in, and coming back out? My first thought would be IT, but is there some focus that people are getting retrained for, going back to school for?
I do see IT a lot as well, but I would love to see more people want to get involved in the trades in our area. It's such a great opportunity, and if you get involved in the trades, it's one of the few fields that you can start your own business pretty easily down the road. But I see a lot of people just wanting to get more into maybe something office-related, so they want to go and get retrained more on office IT. Those areas I do see very often.
All right. Candace Ahmann, Business Development Manager at Express Employment Professionals, joining us today talking about the job market out there. Candace, thanks so very, very much. I hope you have a lovely evening tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Take care, Candace.
Bye.
KFGO time coming up on 424. You're listening to The Drive with Dan Michaels on the Mighty 790 and 104.7 KFGO.
You're listening to The Drive with